All right. Hello. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic because today we're going to be talking about all the Yieldmax ETFs, which will be distributing for this week, which is June 25th, 2025. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to look at some of the Yieldmax ETFs that we hold, such as PYPY, Coney, MSFO, and then of course YMAX. I am going to calculate exactly how much I'll be producing in terms of this week for monthly income, and it's pretty good because we do have 4 Yieldmax ETFs that are producing us income for this week. But one thing that's also very exciting too is if you've been following my channel for a little while, I want to take the dividends and the distributions, the income created from our Yieldmax ETFs, and I want to put them into some more long-term stocks. So what I've been doing is, crazy enough, I've been going through all 500 of the S&P 500 kind of individual stocks. I'm only up to about 135, something like that. But I've been reviewing them all, and I have one new stock that I have purchased within my portfolio, and I want to share that with you guys today, as well as how much I purchased, what price I purchased it at, why I purchased it, the dividends of this individual stock, some news about it, and how much of my Yieldmax dividends will be going towards paying for this new stock and my purchase. So I think that's very exciting, taking our Yieldmax income, what we received from a weekly basis of Yieldmax, and putting it into a new stock. So if that does sound good, please do remember to subscribe. We're up to 8,348 subscribers, 196 subscribers the past 28 days. Man, I'm rambling through. I love it. As well, go in the link, or not the link, I always say the link, the bio of this video. You will see a link to our honorable investing goal template. That is what I'm showing you guys right here. This is where you can track all your stock buys and basically get better average prices, have a target of what you want to achieve in terms of your stock buys, and then as well your income goals. It's very effective in increasing your monthly income. I'm currently doing that to increase my monthly income, and I even have my new stock buys up here because it works for Yieldmax and long-term stocks. As well, there's also a link to a Questrade referral code down below right here where you can get $50 for your first Questrade account. Okay, now that we got that out of the way and you check those out, anyways, let's get into this video. So PYPY, Coney, MSFO, YMAX, what do they all pay? YMAX paying 15 cents and 74 micro cents, I guess you call it. Oh, whoa. This is YMAX right here, 15.48. YMAX paying a 15.5 cent dividend. That's not bad considering. We go to my total shares. I can check that right up here. I have 965 in one account, and then I have 405 my other account. So when we add these two up, I want to do 405 plus 965, boom, roughly 1,370 shares, right on the money actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply that by the dividend that YMAX is paying out, which is 15.48. So I'm going to go times 0.1548. We said it backwards there, boom. So that's $212 from YMAX alone. That's pretty solid. Now let's move to our next. And actually, just slightly before we do that, HOOY paying a $6.50 dividend. That's pretty up there. But one thing you'll notice is a lot of these dividends are actually a lot smaller than previous months. And we can even kind of compare that, like PYPY, for example. They're paying a distribution of, it said here, 32 cents. We look at the previous 55. So it's back down to 30 cents. But in the last little while, the market's had a pretty good run up, so we should see these dividend distributions get bigger as the weeks go on, which is kind of exciting. So the next one, why don't we do PYPY starting from the bottom here, which was 32.97. If we go to my share count here, PYPY, I hold 384 shares. So I'm going to go plus 384 times the dividend, which was 32.97, 0.3297. Whoa. We got to make sure we get this right. 3297. Awesome. Okay, so now we jump up to $338 in terms of monthly income. Now we go to our next one, which is going to be MSFO. And this is a pretty decent dividend for MSFO, 48.48. When we go back to their previous dividends, just to kind of get a little comparison, it's a little bit smaller than their last two dividends, but the last little while we've seen pretty good appreciation out of April, from April to May, June. So it's expected that we've seen these big dividends. Now the market's kind of slowing down, so we're getting a little bit smaller distributions, but nonetheless 48. And I don't hold too many shares of MSFO. Right down here, I hold only 25. So this is going to be a small one, but nonetheless, it's going to add. So we go 25 times 0.4848. Boom. So we're up to 350 flat in terms of monthly income. And we have our last one, which is our biggest hitter, Coney, at 53.54. This as well, same kind of pattern with the other ones. We see two pretty big dividends and then smaller dividends throughout. So a little bit on the lower scale for Coney, but nonetheless a good dividend at that. Coney is not bad. I hold about 261 shares. Very easy to see there. So we go plus 261 times our dividend, which is 53.54.5354. And this is our total weekly income coming up to 490 American dollars. That's a pretty good week right there. That's not amazing, but it's not terrible at the same time. But now what I want to talk about is using this $490. What is the new stock that I have purchased? And it's United Healthcare Group Corporated, ticker symbol UNH. And the reason why I purchased it, look, it's down big over the past year. And what I've been doing was I've been going through the S&P 500 stocks, looking for stocks that were at a discount. I seen UNH and I asked myself, why is it down from a high pretty much of almost $600, now cut in half at about $300? So I dug in and did a little research on the stock. And what I found was that they missed their earnings, which was their first earnings miss since 2008. And I really do apologize because I couldn't find a great website, which I found previously, which kind of highlighted all of the downfalls of their stock. But they missed earnings for the first time. That drove the stock down. They got a new CEO, new head of the company, which also drove the market down. And then as well, they had some headwinds going into the future with their whole Medicare platform. But nonetheless, they are still a very positive and cash flowing company. So what I would say is if you're interested in UNH, don't just blindly trust someone on YouTube. Do your own research about the company before you invest. But let me just show you their financials. They're growing extremely strong over the past few years. You could see as well their operating income is growing very strong, which I like to see. When we go to their balance sheet, keep in mind this is a $270 billion company. It's a huge company. Total assets, $298 billion. Versus total liabilities about $195 billion. So that's pretty good. In terms of their total debt, they're sitting at $76 billion. You can see it growing pretty substantially over the past little while. $76 billion debt is something that I like to keep in mind. And when we look at their cash flow to debt, you can see their operating cash flow is growing very nicely. They are financing and reinvesting into their company, which I love to see. Their end cash position sitting at $25 billion. It's roughly about a third of their total debt, which is great. And then free cash flow coming in at roughly about a fourth of their total debt. So their total debt could potentially be paid off in a few years, which is what you want to see. I never want to see a company which has extremely high debt and then very little cash flow. That means that it's not sitting in a great position. But I think UNH is sitting in a good position. They're in a growing position and they're at a pretty steep discount. And what did I do? I only purchased 3 shares because it's a pretty, the share price for the stock is a pretty big share price at $301. So I purchased it at $301.70, 3 shares. So out of all of that, what I want to do here is I want to take my 490 and I want to subtract 3 times 301.70, which means that Yieldmax is going to pay for more than half of my investment in UNH for this week, which is awesome because that means I only have to add in another, if we go to my calculator, $414 in order to pay for this position. So that's how I'm using my Yieldmax dividends in order to buy some great long-term stocks. And I have a lot of long-term stocks on the way. I just have to do more research on them, find more, and I'm definitely going to be looking through and giving you guys some great stocks, hopefully for the future. Now, one thing I do want to mention is the reason as well I'm buying UNH, it's a dividend paying stock, but it's a consistent payer. It's been consistently growing its dividend. You can see here by every year about 5%, 11%, 13%, 13%. Look, now we're receiving the income from Yieldmax, which is awesome. That's what we want to see. Last month, just to put it in perspective here, last month, we received roughly about $2,500 with a smiley face here, $2,500 in terms of monthly income from Yieldmax. Of course, it's not all just income. It does come out of the total kind of capitalization of your portfolio, but nonetheless, it's income that we could use to purchase great businesses. And that's what I'm looking to do here. Take that income, purchase great businesses that will still appreciate, still provide us those growing dividends. And then that way, we're kind of transitioning from a little bit less stable cash flow with Yieldmax to more stable and consistent cash flow with long-term stocks. And the whole premise of this was to protect myself. If I needed the cash flow now, I could take out the cash flow. I'm $2,500 sitting in cash right now. I could take this cash flow out and pay for my own personal expenses. Of course, this cash is only going to grow as long as I'm not just buying and buying and buying, but I will be buying quite a bit. But the whole basis was to get cash flow in order to potentially protect myself and my outside life. And then what I'll do is, now that I have the cash flow coming in, I will now transition it into stable cash flow, which will grow and grow and continue to grow for generations, buying only amazing businesses at great prices with, of course, expanding dividends. And that's kind of my plan and my future forward thinking there. I hope you guys do enjoy this video. If you did, remember to subscribe and stick around. We're up to 8,348 subscribers. 8,348 subscribers have done this before you. So if you're interested, definitely subscribe and join our page. Check those links down in the description for our, I guess you can call it a store, but it's really just a platform to give you guys some resources in order to boost your investing journey and hopefully your returns, which it should absolutely do. I really want to say thank you guys for sticking around to the end of this video. I hope it was great, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.